A lot of times when I tell people that I do watercolor and that I do nature journaling, they respond by saying, "Oh, that sounds so relaxing." And this video is dedicated to those people. As you can see, I'm not interested in relaxing. I'm actually interested in learning, and part of learning is pushing yourself beyond that relaxed zone. And I do not condone trespassing, almost getting hypothermia, waking up at 3:30 in the morning before a work day, or getting chased by dogs. But I do recommend pushing your edges a little bit. So in this video, you can see my own experience of having my edges pushed a little bit beyond what I was intending, and how I cope with that and continue to nature journal despite adverse conditions. So I'm out here at the coast. It's really early and cold and windy and cloudy and wet. It's probably 92 degrees inland from here, but out here at the coast in Bodega, it's really cold. A low tide, beautiful morning here at the outlet of this estuary, and came to Nature Journal and practice sketching and doing some of these landscapes, and this is exactly the kind of stuff that I want to be looking at. But the conditions are really harsh, and wasn't prepared for how cold it's turning out to be. So just trying to take advantage of what I can and practice doing things that working with the conditions. Like, it's very humid right now, so my watercolors dry very slowly, which is usually something I think of as being a problem, but I'm trying to practice taking advantage of something like that and just learning how to make good landscapitos and do good watercolor and nature journaling in tricky conditions, and what are the benefits. It's more like oil painting in a way. So, but man, my hands are really cold, and I'm gonna just see how much more nature journaling I can do, because practicing in adverse conditions is one of the things that I want to do. So, yep.
Come here. This is kind of ridiculous, I must say.
That's fine. You can say that. I can also tell you to leave and ask the sheriff to go.
Alright, well, I am leaving right now, but pretty sure that I'm within a totally legit place to be. So, I almost went home after those dogs attacked me. That was kind of a bummer, and luckily though I was able to kind of get over that and did some jumping jacks to warm up, and just kept trying to nature journal. Luckily I had some friends here who were fishing and still very motivated to stay, and now down here at the below the high water mark, so in the tide pools, and just glad that I pushed through and I'm having a great time now. It is still very wet, so like I can feel the humidity in the air, and my watercolors are drying really slowly, but I'm trying to just practice a little bit more wet on wet technique. And these are some gastropods and algae that I'm going to go back and draw in more detail once the watercolor dries. But I'm about to call it quits here. I was starting to smudge watercolor a lot, and everything was just drying so slow, and inside of my palette all of the colors were starting to get really liquid, so it was really getting messy, and the washes were taking so long to dry that I did a little bit more journaling, and I could probably keep doing graphite, but I'm just gonna call it a day. So it's only 8:52, it's not even 9 a.m. and I've already put in a couple hours of nature journaling and adventuring out on the coast. So pretty good weekday. Didn't end up doing any fishing. It was a little bit low tide for the striped bass, but I want to get out of here before the tide comes up, because once the tide comes up, this beach, you can't get off of it without trespassing. But anyways, I was starting to leave when I noticed what might be the answer to one of my questions. So I had been hanging out in this area up by these rock cliffs, and while I was sketching, there was those birds that I was nature journaling about that were flying in circles out over the ocean with a fish in their mouth, and I was kind of curious what was going on. Now I noticed when I stepped away from the spot where I was nature journaling, I saw some of them fly into that crack up there, so I think that they have nests. And right when I noticed that, there was also a raven that flew in and landed up there that was kind of scoping out the situation. So anyways, just an example of a pattern that, you know, I'm pretty good at noticing stuff like that, but that pattern, I might not have noticed it if I hadn't been hanging out at that spot for a long time, journaling something else. In this case, drawing landscapes and invertebrates and stuff like that. So some of these patterns with birds or mammals that you might not notice as a naturalist if you're not spending a long time in one place. If you're nature journaling and, you know, doing like drawing a landscape, then there's more chance that you'll be around long enough in one spot. And photography is great, but I think, you know, and sometimes when, you know, you're waiting for certain behavior, you'll be in a spot for a really long time, but it's so easy to move around taking photos really quickly that you might not get to see the patterns evolve over time.
How awesome is this?
I hope the tide is not coming up too high to be able to get around this rocky spot. So I finally made it back to the last beach here after going around a lot of bends and scrambling over a lot of rock, but got out before the tide came up. So this is the last beach here. And yeah, it was a good day. Didn't do any fishing, but lots of nature journaling. And about to go to work, so still enough time in the morning to do nature journaling, even if it's a weekday. No excuses. Driving away from the coast, it was probably in the 50s out there, and I was freezing, my lips were purple, and I have a feeling that pretty soon here it's going to be in the 80s, and if I keep going it's going to be in the 90s, and I'm sure in Redding or other parts of the Central Valley today it's probably going to be in the hundreds. So I'm just so grateful for the coastal influence here in Sonoma County, and had a great time.
My goal with this video is to motivate you on your nature journaling. You probably have some slightly adverse conditions that you have to deal with on a daily basis. By watching this video and seeing how I deal with my problems, you can deal with yours. And if you like watching these videos, please subscribe. Also, go to my website where you can see them first, because they go up on my website, marleypeifer.com, before they go up on YouTube. Thanks, and have a great day.